And our runners are off. Let's see where they head. Crabcake's taking a reset. Siberian Bull taking a reset.
Siberian Bull sticking with his guns, going with the first robot master that isn't more than likely Crash or he going to Metal Man. Crabcake's doing her searching through a few robot masters. I think I saw her seeing Heatman along the way, so I think she may know where Heatman is. But after a few searches, decided to go to Woodman stage. And right now, both our stages are looking somewhat tame. A hard hat or two on Crabcake's end, some one-shot blockies, and some frogs on Siberian Bull's end. Pretty workable weapon sets on both ends so far.
Absolutely, as both of these runners should be cruising through these first robot stages.
So, of course, Crabcake's not having any weapons to take out these 3 hot dogs, having to take them out with a buster. Thanks to the randomizer changes on the way, they used to have a chance to be buster immune, but thanks to changes, they will always have an accessibility with the buster so they don't get soft locked and be unable to progress through the stage. As we reach the top of the treehouse on Crabcake's end, got some chanky makers and some blockies. But once again, not too annoying of an enemy set as Siberian Bull in Metal Room faces off against Flashman.
Excellent. I was going to say Crabcakes needed to be a little careful there because she had very little health, but finding 2 large health refills as Siberian Bull makes quick work of Flashman.
And finds item 1 for his troubles. So we already got ourselves a very lucky item find for Siberian Bull. Item 1 is definitely one of the best items you can find in any scope. Of course, item 2 being one of the other ones. Item 3, not so much, but it has its uses. Crabcake's coming along in Bloodman's room and we find Heatman. Is Heatman gonna be Buster South Week? Oh, this is gonna be a long one on Crabcake's side.
Oh no, and it's a slow-moving Heatman too, which, in my opinion, as a runner, is one of the hardest to deal with.
A slow burn Heat Bison, where these are not the kind of things you want to see if you're looking for weaknesses. You definitely, especially if you find Heatman early, you definitely wanted to find a Buster South weakness. So, as we find item 3 on Crabcake's end, very unfortunate AI luck for Crabcake's in the early going. So, Siberian Bull making quick work of Flashman stage, already nearing the boss door. Crabcake's starting Metal Man stage, which does have our item 1, as we saw Siberian Bull go through much earlier.
Alright, well, Crabcakes will be happy to find item 1 at the end of this stage, like you said, as Siberian Bull pulling into his second Robot Master in Flashman stage. Who do we have?
So we got ourselves Crash in Flash Room, and he looks like a bit of a dummy. But not only that, a massive weakness find on Siberian Bull's end as Metal Blaze winds up just literally shredding Crashman to shreds. So once again, it's that knowledge that's probably going to help him when he goes to the refights as he goes to Airman stage. Now finding an extra item, so item 2 is still out there somewhere.
Definitely an interesting choice on Siberian Bull's part. Considering he knew where Airman was, because that was one of his reset stages. Not waiting for the item 2 to get through here. Probably confident that he could just make it through with no problems. And due to enemy spawns, it seems as though that is going to be the case.
So we got Crabcakes fighting our Buster South Week Flash and naturally destroys him in a flash. So Crabcakes will go to have another Royal Master down and have item 1 in her arsenal. So what we're gonna go to next? Gonna go to Flashman stage. So this should be a relatively quick and easy stretch for Crabcakes. Meanwhile, Siberian Bull Airman could be an annoying stage, but looks like the enemy set is rather favorable. Just a little bit of a minor tanking med, but very, very workable enemies to deal with. Once again, air being one of those stages where enemies could be highly annoying.
Yes, absolutely.
So we got Siberian Bull heading towards the Airman corridor. We're about to see who's going to be in Airman's room. And our lucky contestant is a Vanilla Airman.
Airman, how exciting. He is a Buster susceptible Airman as well. And gave him a very good pattern on that first spread.
Mostly bro-like. The second tornado phase was a little annoying, blocking Airman for a bit, but the first one was really good. Was able to take down a lot of hits on Airman before killing him and going on to Quickman stage.
Yeah, it's Crab Cake's finding a couple dollar store Metroids on the jump to the E-Tank, but able to make it through and pick that up as she heads into her fight with Crashman here.
We're gonna see she's able to find that weakness, but she finds that Crash is also Buster South weak. As we got ourselves a dumb crash, and what we like to call dumb crashes is usually whenever you fire a shot, Crashman usually immediately jumps in reaction to your shots. A dumb crash is a crash that literally just stands still and just take pop shots, taking quite some time before he jumps. One of the best and funniest AIs in this randomizer.
Absolutely, and speaking of Crashman, Crab Cake's coming into the crash stage with both items 1 and 3, so this hopefully will not be too much of a problem. Go pretty quick for her, with an excellent stage theme, if I do say so myself.
Shoutouts to Guilty Gear.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Lula, we found gear enemies in here, so we probably had some Pyrobots in the first screens of Crashman stage. Of course, we have a few tellies along the way. Didn't get to see the first screens of Crash, so I'm not sure if there were tellies on the first screens or not, but whatever the case may be, we had item 1. They're all skippable. Crab Case going to the midpoint and now is closing in on her crash climb, while we got Bubble Man, and hopefully, Siberian Bull trying to do some AI exploiting.
Absolutely. Bubble Man didn't even see it coming.
Well, as far as the AI is concerned, he literally can't. Because the thing about Bubble Man is, as long as you're not directly horizontally affixed to his position, he'll never move or shoot. So if you got weapons like a leaf shield or a metal blade, or in some cases the atomic fire, you can just stand about a good block tile high, and Bubble Man would never see it coming, literally. So Crab Case making a good crash climb on his way to the Crashman room. Siberian Bull starting Woodman stage with some items. Hopefully you can find some weapons to one-shot him, and Leaf Shield is going to be doing the trick here. So Siberian Bull is going to be dealing with these hot dogs a little bit quicker than coming here with the Buster alone like Crab Case did at the very beginning.
Yeah, as Siberian Bull roughly half a stage ahead of Crab Cakes. However, hard telling, because Crashman is one of the longest stages in the game, and Siberian Bull still has yet to go through it.
Finding Metal Man in Crashman's room. Looked like it was Buster Southwick. It was a very quick Buster fight for Metal Man on Crab Cake's side. So, pretty significant fight, but we're noticing something really interesting. We still have not found out item 2 yet, and we're coming into a little bit of retreads. The only stages we haven't seen yet are Heatman and Bubble Man stage, and for both their sakes, they're kind of hoping that item 2 is in Bubble Man stage so they can make Heatman stage a little bit more simpler. Otherwise, if item 2 is Heatman locked, they're going to have some very interesting platforming situations ahead of them, especially in the second half of Heat.
Absolutely, and one key thing to point out as the resets happened at the beginning of this game, both of our runners have some information on where these stages are. Crabcakes knows where Heatman stage is, if she remembers. The same going for Siberian Bull 9 and Crashman stage. So they could definitely avoid them as long as they need.
So we find ourselves a soft weakness on Siberian Bulls, and knowing that Buster is not a soft weakness, he actually had more weapon ammo to use to find at least a soft weakness, and Leaf in this case is one of those soft weaknesses. So once again, that's information that he can use for the refights.
Oh, and you got those Buster immune bunnies at the bottom of Quickman stage. You hate to see it.
Alright, so as far as items go, this is the moment of truth. We find Bubble Man here. So if Bubble Man has our long sought item 2, Heatman stage can potentially be easier. But if not, as Siberian Bull does some very intelligent pause buffering, seeing the shot men along Bubble Man stage, just making sure he can safely traverse that pit, because that final shot, man, if you don't get a good precise jump, you will literally get shot down straight into the abyss.
Also, shout-outs to Space Monkeys on Siberian Bull screen. They just were getting called home. Let's see what we are dealing with here at the long walking section, which cannot be zipped through per tournament rules.
So, low, we got shrimps, bats, and our Dollar Store Metroids, and oh, that's the very bad death on Siberian Bull's end. That death is gonna allow Crabcakes to make quite a bit of distance, because at this point, our runners routing has converged. Both of them are doing Bowman stage, and we know that Heatman is the last Robot Master, so we know where we're going. We now know where our runners are in position to each other. So Siberian Bull has just probably about a quarter's length of a stage advantage on Crabcakes, but that lead can be cut short very quickly depending on enemy sets.
Absolutely, and Crabcakes having to tackle Airman stage yet, as well as Siberian Bull having to tackle Crashman stage. So, this is still anybody's game. We won't really know exactly where we are at in terms of where they are at until we hit Wily stages.
Thank you for keeping me on track as I did forget track of where our opponents are, so thanks for keeping me on track. But we find Woodman in Bubbleman's room, so we got some soggy logs under here, and we got ourselves a slow moving couple of leaves. Our leaf shields are slow, and our falling leaves are slow. So quite a lot of leaves on the screen, but our Woodman is Buster Soft Weak, so all that means is that you have a lot more chances to just shoot them down very quickly. So very fortunate for both our runners in this case.
Crabcakes getting Woodman down a lot faster than Siberian Bull too. We can point that out by exploiting that hitbox manipulation. As we find some fat fans in Heatman stage. You hate to see it. You really do. It's one of the worst enemies to see here, as Siberian Bull takes a death because of it.
Some literal hot air and some boiled crabs. This is one of the worst enemy combinations anywhere, not just in Heatman stage, literally anywhere. So this is going to be a little bit of a struggle for... Sorry, I kind of lost track. A struggle for Siberian Bull to deal with. Also, we just noticed something very, very unfortunate. We've seen Crashman stage through Crabcakes, and we've seen Bubble Man completely. Item 2 is locked in Heatman stage.
Yes, that is correct. I'm glad you picked up on that. As Siberian Bull takes another death to the fans. Wow. Well, let's talk about something. Let's talk about something happier here. What about the Mega Man X music in Airman stage here? You love to see it. Just music to my ears.
Shoutouts to two things: Mega Man X2, this being his intro stage, and for the ROM hack that it came from, Rockman No Constancy, Metal Man stage. Good ROM hack, I should say, people play it.
It'll have to be on my itinerary. As Siberian Bull going into Crashman stage.
Yeah, he's hoping that item 2 is here. He has the ability to go through this stage very fast with items 1 and 3. But unfortunately, since we saw Crashman on Crab Casing as she deals with our Vanilla S Airman, who's being less of a bro to her than to Siberian Bull, we know that you're not gonna fight item 2 before Heatman. So yeah, Crackies find the unfortunate news. Going to Heatman, there is no item 2. The first stretches of Heatman is one of the worst enemy combinations. This is gonna be a massive test for Crabcake, as Siberian Bull literally opted out at this point, having a stage available before then.
Very interested to see how she handles this. Utilizing that time stopper quite wisely.
But it's such a short use. It had a very short time frame and used a lot of energy. But right now it did most of the job, but you still gotta have to deal with a little bit. Deciding to go to Quick Boomerangs, and Quick Boomerangs is doing the job just as effectively. And now pretty much the potential worst half of the stage is over. We still need to see how the second half of Heatman stage fares.
That was very well played by Crabcakes.
And a little later, we're going to have ourselves a Chanky Maker assault, thanks to what we see in the Yoku Block room. Once again, the enemy you see in the Yoku Block room is more than likely the enemy set you're going to see in this entire stretch here. We see Siberian Bull taking on Metalman in the Crashman room, finding a vanilla weakness in Quick Boomerang, once again making short work of Metalman. The fact that Siberian Bull is finding these extra weaknesses, they could definitely come into play, as he's just falling behind thanks to not being able to handle what the first half of Heatman was dishing out. Meanwhile, thanks to not having item 2, Crabcakes is forced to do these Yoku Block segments legit and not worry and able to do them quite well. So Crabcakes pretty much is on a beeline to our final Robot Master.
Absolutely handling those Yoku Blocks like a champion. Alright, let's see how Siberian Bull handles this room.
Trying to utilize those items to safely traverse these areas while we find our final Robot Master, Quickman, and oh my, that's the ultimate weakness.
Wow. I blink and you missed it. Wow. Alright, and Crabcakes out of 8 Robos. And that means, once again, I would like to welcome anybody just joining us to the best eyebrows in video gaming.
And once again, those glorious eyebrows and the Wily Capsule alert. We got a randomized color for the Mega Dragon. We got a randomized weakness for that Mega Dragon as well. So chat, you know what to do. Guess the color of the Mega Dragon, and as always, that extra credit weakness guess. I think we're going to start off this one. And this one, we're going to do ourselves a bit of a classic guess. We're going to have ourselves a Barbie colored pink dragon. And we're gonna see if the Mega Dragon weakness is gonna be friendly this time around. We're gonna hope for a Metal Blade weakness.
Alright, I'm gonna go pretty much the opposite. We're gonna go with a Barney the dinosaur colored dragon, so a nice purple dragon, maybe with some green accents there, and see a Leaf Shield weakness.
As we keep track of Siberian Bull making use of the fact that the Chanking Makers are one of the few enemies that aren't randomized, so their weaknesses are the same, and because of that, you can still one-shot the Chanking Makers with the air shooter, not to mention a couple of quick bubble shots can take them out just as fast. So Siberian Bull having a little trouble in Heatman stage, but still, oh, the lag.
Yeah, I hate to see that. Wow. Just
The
a
lag.
small miscalculation.
The lag causing that extra long hip knockback just slowly is like a slow motion movie just seen her just fall into the pitfall. Very unfortunate, as Crab Case is our first to enter the domain of the Mecha Dragon. Let's see what color we got. But we've barely been striking out this time. Hopefully we can get a little bit of a luck here.
Hey, it's a purple dragon with green accents. Let's go!
I dislike you. But I do get my metal weakness, so I do get some kind of vindication here.
Crab Cake's making short work of the dragon.
But yeah, thanks to Heatman and how it was handled by both our runners, technically Crab Case is pretty much on, it's basically her race right now. She's on the verge of sweeping this first match of our bracket phase, but I'm not gonna call it over quite yet. We still got quite a long way to go, but you still just can't ignore this pretty significant advantage that Crab Cakes has.
Yep, advantage is probably, yeah, just about a stage and a half, maybe even more ahead, as well as, you know, having some good boss weaknesses under her belt, too, if she can remember them come the refights. But, as I always say, there's still a lot of Mega Man left to play.
Siberian Bull sticking with Buster for this fight, going to Quick Boomerang, but unlike Crab Case, who found the ultimate weakness with, I'm assuming, Air Shooter, Siberian Bull wound up taking quite a bit of a longer fight for Quickman in comparison. Also, before we get to the Pico fight, when I mean by ultimate weakness, there are two extra sets of weaknesses for one Robot Master each, which is called a Great and an Ultimate Weakness. Great weaknesses usually deal a large amount of damage, but ultimate weaknesses deal just as much or even more. You can easily tell by how much damage they deal. Speaking of easy fights with easy damage, we got ourselves a 2 Buster Shy Pico unit. This match is free.
Absolutely. As long as nothing catastrophic happens, which I don't assume there's going to be.
Nah, I trust Carrot Cakes. She got this on lock. Buster is literally one of the easiest weaknesses you can find, especially with the short amounts of pellets that you got to use to kill. Yeah, this was a literal cakewalk for Crab Cakes.
No pun intended.
I beg to differ. But yeah, we got Crab Case going straight into Wily 3, the Resident Sleeper stage that might not need to be stepped on, but I think we're gonna see some Joes along the way.
Oh, look at that! Some those Mecha Joes have some hops underwater there.
Yeah, as you can see, the splash animation is glitched. For some enemies that are along the way, you can tell by that glitch animation in the splash what enemies can potentially be on the way. That's not true for all enemies, so you still gotta take some caution. There can be some enemies that can really deal a crushing blow in that area. Siberian Bull making his way towards the Mega Dragon, quite a ways behind. Crab Case starting her Guts Tank fight. Hopefully we can see just as fast the Guts Tank kill as we did with the Pico units, and we're gonna be digging for some weaknesses.
Alright, Air Shooter being one of the weaknesses, but using up half an energy bar.
So yeah, looking by the color scheme, looked like I was wrong about the weakness for heat that was used at the time, but we'll find that out later on. But anyway, we're in Wily 4. Crab Case literally 2 stages ahead of Siberian Bull right now. Once again, the advantage is squarely in her favor. There's got to literally has to be some kind of divine intervention to make this match come even close to even.
Yeah, and what a soundtrack we have for the seed as well. Little Ninja Gaiden 2 here.
Yeah, as Crack Case goes through Wally 4, a little bit of insight about our music. Our music is pretty much randomized from a specific set that was chosen from a large assortment of ROM hacks. This one, I believe, coming from Rockman Claw 2, I believe was used for Bubble Man's theme. But that's beside the point. That's some side trivia here. But yeah, aside from some ROM hacks, there are also some official titles in here as well. Those that fit the Mega Man 2 sound file. So of course you got vanilla Mega Man 2. You also got Mega Man 1 in the mix. You got some Legendary Wings, one of the rare Capcom titles that's in here, and some Bionic Commando. So the music choices for this randomizer, as once again we got ourselves a little bit of a rest home Wally 4 instead of some anxiety rooms. The music choices are pretty vast.
Absolutely. I mean, I even recall hearing some Final Fantasy III music in the last seed, so it's always an exciting thing, not only just playing through the seeds and dealing with the enemies that you have to deal with, but seeing what kind of cool music that you can come across, as well as these brilliant color palettes. Let's see what Crab Cakes has to deal with in this Boom Beam fight.
I think because she had full energy tanks, she did not check the wall weaknesses. So she's pretty much going in 100% blind, hoping that Metal and Leaf will be one of the best weaknesses. But we found our wall weaknesses is one of the worst. Bubble is our wall weakness. And Bubble being a wall weakness means Bubble is one of those sketchy weaknesses that is very hard to destroy walls with. But we find one of the worst wall weaknesses were actually one of the best weaknesses in Buster. So you don't have to worry about any weapon item dream at all. So take the good with the bad, I suppose.
For certain. Let's see how long it takes her to get this wall down. Also, wisely taking an E-Tank there. Alright, only 2 hits. Bubble Lead being somewhat behavioral this time around, as Crab Cakes heads into refights. Bout. Stage and a half ahead of Siberian Bull.
Speaking of Legendary Wings, pretty sure there's a Legendary Wings track right here, right now. So about Wally 5, the thing about Wally 5 is, you notice that we're playing the music during the actual refight phase. One of the best things that Duckfist, the original creator of this randomizer, did was take a little bit of a note-taking from these ROM hacks and allowed the music to play throughout the boss fights, so you'll never ever get interrupted by the boss theme at all. So you pretty much just get to hear a sweet tune throughout the entire refights. Of course, sweet's always subjective, but you know, just get a little ditty or two.
For certain. Also, a glitch that can potentially happen in the refights is during the Metal Man refight, you can actually change the soundtrack mid-refights. Did not happen this time around, but it is a possibility. Crab Cakes getting close there. Alright, taking an E-Tank. Quite wisely, in my opinion.
Pretty much halfway down her sets of rematches. So, before we're up, 4 down, Crab Cakes having very little issue with these refights so far. Siberian Bull, long taking care of the Gus Tank, starting his assault on Wally 4. As we saw, Wally 4 is actually pretty tame. We had some fan fiends that were along the way. The fan fiends will always blow to the left. So if you get fan fiends on the right side of the anxiety rooms, you'll have to deal with the wind physics. But if there are no fan fiends on that right side, it's pretty much just as meaningless as having no enemies on the screen. And we did see that on Crab Cakes, so this should be a relatively easy set for Siberian Bull as he comes into these rooms. and I was right at first. That was air shooter. That was the ultimate weakness for Quick. So I guess I was right at the very beginning.
Absolutely, as Crab Cakes absolutely just evaporates Quickman. And on the Wily machine, let's see if it is Buster susceptible or not.
He usually is.
It's a good bet.
But Lily's gonna stick with the Metal Blades, not want to worry about doing an extra menu. But the thing, okay, it's available for both phases. The thing about using a weakness is that the Metal Blade could have been weapon locked for that phase. So it was actually a bit of a lucky chance that the Metal Blade was good for both phases.
Yeah, a little bit of gamble on Crab Cake's part, but paying off and getting that item refill halfway through the fight as well. On to Victory Road.
Yeah, once again, I'm not expecting it, but seriously, some kind of Travis Shamokri literally has to happen in order for Crab Cakes to lose this. So we got Crab Cakes in our alien fight once again. The alien is only weak to one weapon. Just to know, Time Stopper is never a weakness for the Wily bosses, and it's not going to be a weakness here, so you can always scratch out Time Stopper.
Absolutely. Let's see what we got. It's not Buster. It is not Crash. Not Metal. Not Air. Ooh, having to hunt quite a bit here. Alright, finding Quick Boomerang as a weakness.
She literally had to full search the entire weapon roster in order to find it. But it doesn't matter. GG's to Crab Cakes, beating Siberian Bull, our first winner in our bracket phase with official SRL time of 31 minutes and 44 seconds. Proving her race PB by 6 seconds in extremely brisk run on Crab Cakes' end.
Yeah, it's huge GG's to Crab Cakes. Alright, and let's see how Siberian Bull does as he finishes up his race.
But yeah, GG's to Crab Cakes. Very solid performance on her end. Actually, if there had to be a point where the lead had to pretty much just be up and beyond Siberian Bull, it was definitely that god-awful Heatman setup, especially the first half.
Absolutely. And that is something that you do not like to see as a runner. Like, crabs in general on that screen are a pain. Fat fans in general on that screen are a huge pain. Having them both together is literally a worst case scenario, especially if you get Heatman early and don't have a lot of things to deal with that kind of hot nonsense.
As we got Crab Cakes in chat right now, as usual, she usually declines our mic interviews and just pretty much just describing what she experienced in the chat. Of course, you can, for everyone in chat, you can GG her directly. And yeah, she pretty much just hit the nails on the head. Bubbles, air, just a lot of wacky nonsense on some of these seeds.
Yeah, I will say, Crab Cakes, you did have you had a lot of luck in checking those first couple stages, this seed particularly, and got some good information. I would say the same thing for Siberian Bull with other stages, because I know for a fact that he found Airman and Crashman on resets as well. So you guys had definitely different advantages going into it, but it just ended up panning out your way this time around. So congratulations and GG's to you.
Siberian Bull gonna deal with his Wily machine fight, and we find out that it was Buster Beat the entire time, so the usual streak continues. Every time the machine's available is usually Buster Week. It's supposed to be somewhere a line of 50-50, but these percentages are basically lies.
Well, Crab Cakes, as Siberian Bull is finishing up his run, do you have any thoughts that you'd like to add about the seeds going through?
As we wait for CC's reply in the chat, of course, for those that are probably looking at it on YouTube, you probably won't see those replies, but just know that she's answering them as pretty much succinctly as possible, as we see Siberian Bull going into the final stretches of the game, going through Wally 6, his trek around Victory Road. We're going to see how quickly he finds these quick boomerang weakness.
Yes, and for those watching on YouTube, Crab Cakes responded, both seeds seemed pretty straightforward, and I would hazard to agree. Yes, as we were commenting during the race, one of my favorite glitches to see is Velcro Airman. However, it is my least favorite to deal with. As Siberian Bull finding Quick Boomerang, gonna be finishing up his run in just a second here. And a big GG's to Siberian Bull 9 with an official SRL time of 36 minutes and 13 seconds.
So we can see if we can get Siberian Bull here for a short interview. This is what we're going to be seeing throughout the rest of these bracket stages. Pretty much good, intelligent, very hard-paced matches with a little bit of some RNG shenanigans along the side. But as this is just the beginning, this is just the first of potentially many races that are coming up for the Mega Man 2 randomizer. We are in bracket phase. This is double elimination, so Siberian Bull is not out of contention yet. He will have to go down to the lower bracket in order to try to run that gauntlet and try to get back in it. But for right now,
alright, just waiting on the invite from SpeedGaming. Sadly, I got swept. I have regret. That second seed was awful, so I have no problems losing that one. The first one, I'm more annoyed about my execution early, because
Alright, seems like we got Siberian Bull's
This
Twitch
time.
stream bleeding in a little bit here before he gets into chat.
got too far
See
into
if
that
we can-
woodman. Got body damage.
yeah, if I can just get it in right
And
quick.
then I pretty much cornered myself against Heatman. Even though I had tanks, I thought I could get.
Well, while you're hearing his thoughts, hopefully I can get things going as soon as possible.
That's pretty much my main
Moving
regrets. Is
a
those two.
smidge slowly on my
More the
end.
woodman than the Heatman, but still.
Give me just a moment. No, I know it. There we go.
Alright, and Siberian Bull joining us in chat here. How you doing, Siberian Bull?
Woof.
Pretty much just sums it up, and I'm pretty sure all that is directed towards the second seed. So let's just get the elephant out of the room right now, that Heatman stage.
That Heatman stage was rough. Fan fiends all over the place. I got pretty ecstatic about that save with taking the D boost of the crab, but then another fan fiend showed. I was like, well, I didn't even want. The thing was, I didn't even want to go to Heat, man. I actually wanted to go to Crash before going to Heat, hoping to find item 2, but item 2 was in Heat.
Yeah. So what was your thoughts? What was going through your head when you realized that?
It's like, well, at least I don't have to face Metal though. Because I figured I was done. I was done in that second seed after that Heatman stage. I knew it was done. So that's the first thing that came to mind. I have more regrets in the first seed, specifically my poor timing on the Woodman in Metal Room, because I thought I was on the Leaf Shield portion and not his body damage, because I would have at least survived the Leaf hit and would have taken down Woodman. But sadly I was in his body. That was a death, and then I quartered myself in the Heatman, in Quickman's room, and well.
Yeah, the first seed, both of y'all had dealt. Y'all dealt quite a lot of deaths in that one. It surprisingly, in spite of the shenanigans in Heatman stage, the second seed was for the most part kind. How did the first seed just seem to just kind of off balance some of your usual tactics?
Well, actually, in the first seed, I had come up with a actually newer tactic, which actually still included item 2, still included Heatman stage, but instead of doing it at the Yoku section at the second half of that area, it's doing it at the first section, so then you can just ignore all the annoying enemies that could possibly be there.
Yeah, I was taking note of it when I was seeing you do that. That's a pretty wise solution. Is just the rest of the sea kind of just not wanting to be just as friendly.
No. Let's see what else if I can remember anything.
Drawing a bit of a blank on the rest of the runs.
Blank. All I know is my hunting I felt was pretty good. Let's see. Oh, I had that just in the nick of time kill of Flashman. That's in the first seed, I think, with that heat.
Oh yes, I do recall that. I definitely pointed that out. I was like, wow, all right, that was a close call.
I had no intention of getting the E-Tank in either of those seeds. I know I pulled out item 2 in one of them. It was pretty much to get to jet across, but, you know, crabs, they did their thing.
Alright, so Siberian Bull, unfortunately you did get swept by Crabcase, who is going to be moving on in the winner's bracket. Crabcase is going to deal with probably one of the roughest matchups that you can deal with in Metalo, who was our last tournament's champion. Meanwhile, you're going to be waiting quite a bit before your next matchup, because on your end, you got to wait for the winner of the Prodigy Treble Star matchup, which had yet to be scheduled, and that winner is going to be going against 2% Chungus, and that loser is going to be your opponent. So you got quite some time before your next opponent is going to be scheduled.
Good. Let the hate flow through me.
Well, you know, you could take the time to stew about it, or take the time to fine-tune those strategies, especially the new ones you're pulling out. You know, it's I always say it. There's always room for improvement. Doesn't matter who you are, Metalo, anybody in the tournament.
Oh, I do appreciate the fact that I did self-curse myself before the race.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because I ended up PBing, and I put it in, and it was like, well, it's all downhill from here.
Oh, trust me, actually, the other day, I got a 32:04 as a PB on Randomizer on my first seed of the marathon run that I was doing, and that did not pan out for me in the wildcard races, so I am right there with you on that one, brother.
Indeed.
So I get that pretty much sums up the rest of this particular shindig. If you got any final thoughts or shout-outs to Siberian Bull, please feel free to do so before we shut this thing down.
Oh, GG's to Crabcakes. I knew I was walking into a rough one today myself, actually, considering how they play. Just didn't go my way this time.
So yeah, congratulations to Crabcakes on advancing through the winner's bracket. Siberian Bull, good luck to you in the lower parts of the bracket as you await your next competitor. And for right now, this is all we actually have for today. This is the only race that was scheduled for today. And for quite some time, we do not have a scheduled race at the current moment. We're trying to get scheduling going within the actual randomizer tournament Discord. Speaking of which, feel free to join up our Mega Man 2 Randomizer Discord as I try to pull it up on chat. So feel free to check out all the goings on with the Discord, the brackets, and the current scheduling. Feel free to follow our runners. They put up an excellent show for us for showing off both the good and the bad of what the randomizer has done. And if you just want to, just for the heck of it, feel free to look up us as a commentator. And of course, 2% Chungus, who is basically our star tracker of this entire tournament, basically available to just keep an eye out for all of the stuff that's going on within the tournament so far. So with that in mind, Ari, how about you close us out this day?
I would certainly love to. I want to thank everybody here for joining us for this first bracket race of the Mega Man 2 2020 Randomizer Tournament. It was an exciting race to kick things off. We still have 3 more races in round 1 coming up. Have not been scheduled yet, but stay tuned for the scheduling on that. We have Casual Tom 82 versus Mega Kyle 83, the winner of our first wildcard race. Prodigy versus Crumble Star, and Charlie Boy versus Ren Hero. We are looking forward to these races as they are taking shape, and we are going to be very excited to have you all along with us for the journey.
Okay, with that, this is pretty much it for us. So for our species, this is LV Creed, and of course 2% Chunk is working on the 1s and 2s behind us. Have a good day, Speed Gaming. Take care.